you can see thousands of ways where you cannot compete with them, where
Right.
you will never be able to defeat them. Call us exporters,
Mm.
importers, roasters. You have to focus on what they cannot get. And I just saw it with the UDR.
Okay.
With the UDR,
Yep.
large conglomerates, they cannot get traceability. And here's where I come again, talking
Right.
about our supplies. It's, and I mean, like truly traceability, they cannot get it. And focus yourself with all the traceability, what you can offer to your clients.
So look
And
for the opportunities
yes,
that they can't compete with you on.
bring the diversity
Mhm.
that they will never be able to do.
If the content we bring you on the podcast has helped you with your business or your career and you're looking for a way to financially support the independent production of this podcast, you can do that for as little as a few dollars a month by backing us on Patreon or becoming a paid subscriber on our YouTube channel. Another way to support us and continue your learning is to purchase one of our on-demand workshops available on our website, mapitforward.coffee/workshops. Check the show notes for links, and as always, thanks for the support.
Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 4 in a 5-part series with Felipe and Angel. We are talking about the global coffee industry so far in 2025. It's a fantastic conversation. It's a very balanced conversation about what's happened in 2025, this being a very volatile year in coffee. And one of those elements in the volatility that we haven't talked about is consolidation. I've been talking a lot on social media in my walk and talks, as well as in newsletters and stuff like that about consolidation. But something that we had talked about, guys, in the last 2 times that we had spoken was that we had said that when we arrive to the point of this situation, this coffee crisis, where when we get to the consolidation phase, it's a whole new phase of all of this, and we're there. And what we're seeing is the consolidation that's been happening on the green trading side. We're seeing the consolidation that's happening on the corporate side of things with regards to big companies like Keurig Dr. Pepper purchasing JDE Peet's. There's a lot that's going on. Who wants to talk about the role that consolidation is playing right now?
I can go on with this one.
Yeah, go for it.
If you're okay. We know what is happening. It's like getting an ultra concentration at all aspects. Call it roaster, call it trading houses, even let's say our 10 scale, I would say at farm, but not still that level, because still the production is in the hand of millions of producers all over the world. It is happening. It's a fact. We are getting to an ultra concentration, but for me, it's a moment for an opportunity. And I will tell you why. And I will bring 2 examples of ultra concentrations in industry, probably in our industry, but not from the point of view of acquiring companies, but to show you what were the result. First one, I will talk about the beer industry. Beer industry.
Okay.
Yeah. Around 20 years ago, maybe a little bit more, if I'm not wrong, there was an ultra concentration on around 2 or 3 breweries. But they said, like, we're going to rule it all, and we're going to buy every national brewery in the country. So we can actually control it. What happened? Microbreweries came.
Yeah.
To create a little bit of diversity, a lot of diversity in a moment. That is another industry, if we see it, that got into a point of an ultra concentration that was critical. The other one I will bring is to coffee, but it's not the way we see it. It's the case of Costa Rica in terms of production. In Costa Rica, I don't have the date exactly, but let's say around 15 years ago, probably a little bit more, there was a new law that said that for the environment, coffee couldn't be fermented anymore.
Yeah.
So you got semi-washed, or we know, typically known as semi-washed coffee, no fermentation. So all the Costa Rican coffees had to be the same. What happened? Buyers start losing interest in Costa Rican coffees because they were basically the same, all of them. What happened? It was the micro meal revolution. So a lot of farmers start doing their own meals to do different things. What they did adapt. What this adaptability bring to the industry? Honey coffee. We cannot use water. So what we do? Let's create a new method of processing the coffee, and honey came in. And why do I say it's an opportunity? Taking freedom from a human being, it's impossible. The only way you could do it is killing it. And even if you think that it's possible to take all the freedom of choice for a consumer or a buyer, you cannot do it. You'd rather kill the product or the industry, but you will not get it.
So this is very interesting what you say here, Angel. So I used to live in San Diego. And in San Diego, there was microbreweries everywhere, right? So this is one city that really wanted to diversify after this mass consolidation happened. I left in the second year of the pandemic, and you now look at San Diego, and those big companies bought up all the microbreweries. The rest of them went out of business. And it's very interesting.
You get different stages. You get different stages.
Exactly. So when if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is then when a stressor is placed on a market, there will inevitably be a kind of innovation that happens that gives birth, right? And
it has to be.
I wonder if, given the stresses that are happening for cafes at the moment, if matcha wasn't that thing that saved most of them this year, right? Like, I wonder how many cafes would have survived if matcha and signature drinks didn't save their asses this year. We would have seen a lot more close. But if we go back to what we were talking about earlier in this series about all of the volatility that's happening right now, do you think that it is reasonable to say that when you add consolidation on top of all of the volatility, that perhaps finding innovation in that moment is a luxury that can only be had by people with deep pockets? Because competing with the kind of consolidation that's happening right now, that might be tough, right?
It's not for getting political, but in all the civil conflicts, the guerrillas are not the ones that have most resources. Sometimes they have more ideas.
Okay.
And that makes them be able to fight governments that are fully established with a lot of power, etc. So I think there's a moment that will make a lot of people think to survive. And I think I include myself, I'm already start thinking, I'm going to have the power that these companies will have for buying coffee? Of course not. I think they're trying to do it to control a market. And I think, as I was telling you the other day, that eventually they will try to bring an stability on prices. Because if you can manage 20% of the purchase globally on coffee, probably you have a word to say in the markets in a moment, or to make it go in a way. But for our industry, that is a niche industry, I think it's a possibility for innovation and for people that will be able to adapt to be there tomorrow. As you said, as these breweries, some got absorbed, some continue. Why? Because probably they had their most innovative, solid business model.
And do you think that's something that will take time to happen? Because here's how I'm seeing it at the moment. So let's take one of those consolidation factors that we're talking about, the Keurig Dr. Pepper. For those who don't know what happened, Keurig Dr. Pepper is in the final stages of purchasing JDE Peet's. Once that merger goes through, that's going to be broken down into two separate companies. One, they're currently calling the Global Coffee Co., and the other will be called Beverage Co. Beverage Co. will sell the beverages like Dr. Pepper and 7-Up and all of that kind of stuff. And the other one will sell all of the coffee and its derivatives, coffee related. That mega conglomeration of all of those businesses that come under the new coffee business, Global Coffee Co., will have the only rival they actually have on a global level is Nestle. So now we have two superpowers in coffee that dominate the market, that will have, and Angel, it was you in our group chat that mentioned that one of the plausible things that they could do is turn around and say, fuck the C market, this is the price that we're going to pay for coffee now. And they have such buying power, and they, given the economic situation on a global level that's starting to unfold, and I believe we're only at the beginning of that, but it's tough economically, especially because of all the volatility that's out there in the market. The volatility is the big problem, right? So companies are not investing as much as they were. So given all of that volatility, given the economic situation, when they can pay and the small guy can't pay, they're going to get preference. They can set the prices. As that happens, we're going to see businesses, smaller businesses, whether they're small or medium, who can't compete with these big, massive businesses, are going to get to the end of their runway and they're going to have to close or they're going to get absorbed. Now, let's say that we get to that point. Where does innovation come in there? Because right now what we have is running alongside that is the Luckens of the world that are really capturing market share because they have very deep pockets. They can operate at a loss for a very long period of time. And their governments are going and doing deals directly. They're skipping the C market. They're going directly to origin. They're building those relationships, buying direct and securing access for the companies that are in their countries. Where does the innovation come in there for the little guy? That's the part that I can't see. Where do you see that coming in, Angel?
You know, it's so massive that sometimes
We have to wait.
you can see thousands of ways where you cannot compete with them, where
Right.
you will never be able to defeat them. Call us exporters, importers, roasters. You have to focus on what they cannot get. And I just saw it with the UDR.
Okay.
With the UDR,
Yep.
large conglomerates, they cannot get traceability. And here's where I come again, talking
Right.
about our supplies. You know, it's, and I mean, like truly traceability, they cannot get it. And focus yourself with all the traceability, what you can offer to your clients.
So look for the opportunities
Yes.
that they can't compete with you on.
Bring the diversity that they will never be able to do. You know, some people could, as I tell you, could see it as massive. There's no way to beat them, but because you only focus on what they know how to do, you know, like put machines, distribute, low prices, whatever. But at the same time, you could see it like trying to score a goal into a rainbow. There's a lot of room to do things that are different that they cannot, that they will never be able to do just because of their size. And here's what I think innovation will come. And again, not to get political, what I was telling you about guerrillas, it was that, governments will always underestimate. For histories, we have seen it. When there are rebels coming in, they will say, we have all the power, we have all the money, we're going to just, you know, crash them like ants. And sometimes they get there. And they get peace agreements, to get powers under governments, etc. So that's maybe it's very romantical what I'm saying or thinking, but it's also because we are humans, we are not robots,
But
and that's
you
what
do get to
mankind has
say
shown
that.
us.
Sorry to cut you off there. And I want to bring to attention something that Belco has done. You have done in Belco. You and the team at Belco have done that gives you the right to have that kind of optimism, and that's the sailboats.
Mhm.
Right? That's very different than what anyone's doing. You guys are pioneering that. And it does open up a potential business model that the big guys can't really access at this point. The win is too small for them to be building a business model off of that. Am I understanding that correctly?
No, exactly, and we thought it's and on the top of everything, I still see it as a way of transport. That I said it brings a lot of positive aspects,
Right.
but on the top of that, what I'm putting on those sailing vessels has a lot of value, and my proposition is a global value proposition. To say from uh, A to Z, you have a whole business value proposition behind what I'm selling.
And it solves a problem that we're going to be experiencing in an accelerated way into the future. This is not something that's just like a acute option.
And
right?
Yeah, and again, it's a momentum, because if possibly tomorrow more large companies will do sailing vessels or other ways. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows. Maybe some people know. I don't. Yeah.
Go ahead, Felipe.
I would question how many of these consolidations are planned or how many are out of necessity. I would be careful how healthy actually these companies actually are. And I would be wary as well how strong their brand is with the final consumer once, Maxwell House and Folgers goes from $15 for 500 grams to $37.
Right, 100%.
And how angry their consumers will get. So I don't know. I think I agree with Angel. It's being creative. It's changing. I think, we said this last time as well. I really think it's about selling a movement. And I think, what is that movement? And I think we need to, I fear a lot of people who are getting in coffee now, maybe they don't know where we've come from anymore.
Which is dangerous in my opinion.
Yeah. And it's something, Felipe, what you say is something very smart, because in France, when I was for COVID, it happened. And we saw it. Which were the roasteries that suffered the most of COVID?
The new ones?
The largest ones.
Oh. Right.
Nobody cares about their identity because they don't even know they exist. It's just the coffee that you get on a terrace when you are in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris.
Right.
But who would care of that brand?
I think we have a strong community we've built, but I think we have a crisis. We don't have a gathering. We don't have a strong gathering place anymore. We don't have a strong identity. We don't have even our flag is confused what we're saying. And I think a lot of baristas, it would be good for a lot of baristas and new coffee professionals to know where we've come from, to know what we've built upon in the early 2000s, and get that excitement back, get that, put money aside, stop talking about economics, and put what got you into coffee, what do you love about coffee? I think we have a world that's becoming more politicized, and this is drawing on people's, pretty soon, even MAGA supporters are going to be questioning a lot of things. I guarantee you. So I think,
Today they're
People will
questioning if Trump is actually alive or not.
Really?
That just shows you that they're starting to question things.
There's supposed to be a press conference happening in a couple of hours, and they're all waiting to see if they're going to announce that Trump's actually dead because he hasn't appeared in public for 3 days. So, like,
playing golf.
The fact that they can actually consider that, like, 2025, nothing is impossible in 2025. Nothing.
Well, I think in general, I think there is coffee is we cannot forget coffee is a people product. It's for the people, planted by the people, for the people. No matter what consolidation we'll do, we will still need millions of farmers. We still will need billions of consumers. And it just amazes me how people know of the risks we're doing and not doing anything about it. And it amazes me how many people like continue to support huge companies. Like, I think it's very hard not to support huge companies, but you should try. Like, I see Amazon packages everywhere. Like, I have not purchased from Amazon in over 6 years. So, like, I just think people, the problem. Put your money where your mouth is. Start supporting local businesses. Start supporting small people. Make a movement. And, there are, like, again, I cite natural wine. I think there is a movement there. It's not quite clear exactly what the movement is, but there's a strong movement, and it's growing and it's selling, and it's a health thing. It's a community thing. It's a love thing. It's a luxury thing. There is a liveliness to natural wine bars that you just do not see at a regular wine bar. And that business is doing much better than regular business. I think Angel can say in Bordeaux, they're struggling to sell regular wines. So the culture is changing. And I think, I think that there's a lot to that. I think there's a lot philosophically you can do to farming to provide something that's better for the consumer, that's healthier, that's more alive, that's better for the local market. There's ways farmers can think differently. So I think that we are so busy and so disconnected, and there's so many new players coming to coffee, and we've forgotten where we've come from. So something's got to change there. And if the big consolidation is coming for a share of some of our business, then we need to evolve and create something new. But the vast majority of people are not billionaires, and the vast majority of people are increasingly becoming aware that they're not billionaires and that they want to support the small guys. So I think that in 2025, you should use, if you're independent, which I don't know how many left companies
I don't know how many will survive by the end of 2025.
Let's create an independent business certification or something. I just think you need to play your cards.
Yeah.
And coffee is a people movement.
I think what's going to be interesting is to figure out where this goes, because we're sitting here in September 2025, and I feel like we're now in the thick of the dark part of this phase. We're about to start to see the very unfortunate part of this. We're going to see business closures. And so as that happens, I think it's going to be important for us to think about what comes next. So join us in the final episode of this series, where we're going to be looking at the next 18 months, folks. Hold on to your hats, because we did this last time and pretty much everything that we said was going to happen has happened. So I can't wait to hear what these guys have to say about that. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day.
This episode is part of a 5-part series produced by Mapper Forward. Check the full playlist and guest details in the show notes, as well as how you can support our work in the coffee industry. Become a premium YouTube subscriber, explore our Patreon and any brands we've partnered with to bring you this podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help us grow our audience.